Every year, somewhere between 3 and 4 million visitors descend upon the natural beauty of Yellowstone National Park. An incredible place of natural beauties, mountains, rivers, hot springs, and geysers. But it's also a place of potential catastrophe. Below the park lies a pressured caldera of magma 40 miles wide. And at some point, it's going to blow in a furious explosion that could decimate the Midwest. And yet, still the crowds come, despite the risk. Or because of it? Is it rational to stay away and block out the risk? Or is it rational to accept possible catastrophe, albeit statistically a very low risk, and learn about it, embrace it, prepare for it? As a psychologist, I'm interested in why some of us are fascinated by these kinds of apocalyptic possibilities, while others of us prefer to go about our lives pretending that everything is and always will be fine. This is ASU. Whether we're up late at night, anxiously doom-scrolling, or chit-chatting with our friends about the latest threat to human existence, many of us share a morbid fascination with the apocalypse. Where does this morbid curiosity come from? And why are we so fascinated by the things that could kill us, injure us, or end the world as we know it? The answer is evolution. In our evolutionary history, people who ignored threats were more likely to succumb to them, while people who were more attuned to threats, and critically what they could do to manage them or reduce the likelihood that they would happen, were more likely to thrive, even in the face of apocalyptic conditions. Our morbid curiosity goes beyond just turning our attention to potential threats. It can also help us learn about threats and how to effectively manage them so that we can continue to go about our lives. We can look to the animal world to see a really clear example of this. It's not unusual to see prey approaching predators, a phenomenon called predator inspection. Just like the horror movie protagonist who opens the door to the basement to see what kind of monster is lurking in the darkness, a gazelle will approach a lion to gather information about what kind of threat it poses. Does it seem hungry? Or is it just lazing in the sun after eating a hearty meal of wildebeest? If it doesn't pose a threat, the gazelle can safely graze or go about her other activities without worry. And if it does pose a threat, the gazelle can get the frick out of there. We are all kind of like this gazelle, trying to learn about the threats in our world so that we can manage them. We need information about the threats we are facing so that we can balance the need to go about our lives with taking seriously the real risks that are out there. Unfortunately, in our modern world, it can be really hard to figure out what threats are immediate and acute, like a prowling hungry lion, what threats are looming, like a sated lounging lion, and what things are not actually threats at all. Not a lion, just a little breeze in the tall grass. We can get stuck in an infinite doom-scrolling loop, our morbid curiosity driving us to learn more about ambiguous threats without ever giving us real resolution about whether they're really threats or direction about what we should do about them. But there are many things we can do. We can make sure that we prepare for the kinds of emergencies that are common in our region, whether that's wildfires, earthquakes, floods, or extreme heat. We can also help our neighbors, friends, and communities prepare. So prep your shelter-in-place kit, help your community build an effective emergency response plan, or donate to a charity that's working to reduce the risk from the potential apocalypse that's taking over your brains this week. If we can leverage our morbid curiosity to learn about the threats we face and do something about them, we'll all be safer, happier, and more engaged in our world. So let's advance the plot line of this great human adventure story that we're all a part of, and open the door to our collective basement and peer in, armed not with our powers of doom scrolling, but rather with the intentional deployment of our morbid curiosity. If we work together to learn about the threats in our world and to deal with them effectively, we'll get through. We come from a long line of morbidly curious and apocalyptically cooperative humans. So, we have what it takes. So, whatever catastrophe you're worried you might be facing, from fires to floods to the imaginatively unlikely, engaging with extreme risk and going a step further, preparing for it as an individual and in a community, is the best way to ensure we'll face it and get through it together. And it's an interesting area of research. Understanding the psychology of our fascination with the morbid and macabre will help us understand ourselves and the human condition, including why some of us are so obsessed with horror movies and apocalyptic fiction. It's a big, scary job, but somebody's got to be morbidly curious enough to get in there and do it. So embrace your morbid curiosity and get to learning. It's an awfully fun way to prepare for what might be waiting for us around that apocalyptic corner. This was ASU. Thanks for watching.